like there's that combusting, and then there's all those moving parts in there, the drivetrain. Everything takes friction, and the laws of physics mean that it takes more and more energy, right? An electric engine is a lot more quick transition, far more efficient. And so in the future, that's why, Toyota just came out with a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, but Amazon, I see you guys have a big Amazon thing here, right? It's an interesting moment in time because 10 years ago, this year, for the first time in history, Exxon didn't make the top 10 of the S&P 500. First time in 9 decades. Who's at the top? Who's the biggest corporations in the world? Amazon. Tech guys. Tech guys are the big guys, right? And those guys are going renewable. You know that, right? Amazon just announced 10,000 electric vehicles, followed by Google. So to me, this is what the future looks like. There's your rails. A lot of them go through reservations. And in a lot of those cases, every Native person knows that the right-of-ways, a lot of those right-of-ways, we still have rights to those right-of-ways that go through our territories. And then look at this crazy thing. Like, who's the most backwards country in the developed, India, look at this. Who's the most backwards country out there for electric rails? Us. Like, why would you be a first world country that's so backwards, right? So if you had the most efficient rail systems in the world and they weren't here, wouldn't you want them? Y'all got to demand that, you young people. This is the transition of the next economy. This is what it looks like when you decide that your human rights need to be actualized in practice. This is my friend Winona LaDuke. She's from this little village called Little Buffalo in the middle of the tar sands. Her health clinic in the tar sands, her health clinic, like many health clinics in northern Canadian reserves, had no electricity in it except for a diesel engine. That's how they powered her health clinic. And so for her master's thesis at the University of Victoria, I got to be on her master's committee, she built that. She didn't write about it, she didn't study it, she built 20 kilowatts of solar to put on her health clinic in her little village. Now that's some applied academics, right? And then this is me with our 20 kilowatts of solar at my little tribal school in my little village that no one cares about but us. We put that up last year. And this is what it looks like if you do a grid. And this is what it looks like at Navajo when you decide to no longer have a coal-fired generator and instead put up 26 megawatts of solar. The future will be made by those of us who go out and just do it. That's like my little motto, just do it. And then here's my project here. I was going to wear my perfect hemp outfit, but I didn't wear my perfect hemp outfit because it's in my suitcase and I barely got myself here. But I'm a hemp farmer. I know you guys are all saying I'm a cannabis farmer. Let me just say that again. I'm a cannabis farmer, right? You guys are all saying, oh, she's probably really stoned. I'm actually not. But I've had 4 years. I have a state of Minnesota permit to grow industrial hemp. And in that permit, I cannot grow anything with THC. And my interest is in fiber hemp. And the reason I'm interested in fiber hemp, you just heard me talk, is that I want to change the world. And I want to tackle the textile economy. Because there used to be a time in this country where we made hemp. We grew a lot of it, and we made a lot of stuff out of it. And for 60 years, it has been illegal. But it's interesting to think about the fact that hemp can produce 4 times as much fiber per acre as wood. And so why wouldn't you make flooring or paper out of something that is a lot more regenerative than forests? And why wouldn't you do things like make clothing? I am today wearing cotton and polyester. My intention, as I said, was to wear my hemp outfit. But this is polyester, and these jeans are cotton. Cotton uses 4 times as much water as hemp. 24% of the world's agricultural chemicals are bestowed upon cotton. All those things that end with "cide", herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, all over cotton. Far more water than hemp. And everything we're wearing that's not cotton, Some people wear linen, that's a natural fiber. Some people wear silk, but most of us are wearing polyester. And what's that made of? Fossil fuels, right? We're basically living entirely dousing ourselves with fossil fuels. And so my interest is in a post-petroleum economy. I think that a lot more human rights will be valued. We won't be fighting wars for oil. Instead, we will have, a sustainable, restorative economy. Now, the state of Minnesota used to have 11 hemp mills in it until the 1940s. Minnesota had 11 hemp mills, and at those mills we produced fabric, and at those mills we produced rope. In fact, the word canvas comes from the word cannabis. All the canvas in this country used to be made, all those sails from those sailing ships that brought all your ancestors over, that would have been out of hemp, out of cannabis. And, even to this day, when I think of what I want to do, if we just did canvas, that'd be awesome. Think of all those tarps we could get rid of, right? All of those things that are made of fossil fuels. That's my interest. So this is my hemp project. This is my biological son is the one with the blue shirt on. That's a nephew there. That's another son there. That's my partner, and that's my brother there. This is my hemp field. Looks like bamboo, right? It's tall and skinny, and that's what fiber hemp looks like. The outside of it is what you want to make it's the fiber for thread and rope, and the inside is something called hurd, which is what they use for construction materials. It's very sustainable. It also sequesters carbon. And there's me in my hemp field. I like showing this picture because I look really stoned. I am actually not. But we're like, wow, look at this hemp field, right? And it's very happy. My hemp field is happy. I'm happy. And here's some of your statistics, 25% of all pesticide use. Once, basically, I'd say look it up. Willie Nelson's right. Here's my village. That's my village. That's a picture taken for a film called The Seventh Fire. And in that village, like I told you, we kind of look around and said, don't look like anybody's going to fix it for us. So we decided to create something more beautiful. That's some of our murals in my village. I'm hoping next summer to mural up about 5 more houses. Nice, huh? Onishishin Ijichige, make it beautiful. Make it peaceful. That's our wild rice, me and Don Goodwin. That's what I'm fighting for, as a water protector. The same rice lake for 10,000 years we harvested on. All you got to do is take care of it. That's what I want to do. This is Evo Morales. He's the president of Bolivia. And about 10 years ago, Bolivia passed, as a part of their constitution, the rights of Mother Earth, enshrining it in their constitution. And I bring that to you because, what they recognize is the right of Mother Earth to regenerate, to be free of contamination, to be in continuance, to be free of genetic engineering. And I think about, the rights of humans, the rights of corporations, and the rights of nature. And one thing I am sure is that a just society needs to value the rights of humans and the rights of nature much higher than the rights of corporations. He is the first indigenous president of a country, not surprisingly that this is where this would come from. But today, on a worldwide scale, more nations are adopting the rights of nature. And my tribe adopted the rights of wild rice last December on our reservation, recognizing the rights of our rice to continue indefinitely. And this last month, the Yurok Nation in Northern California recognized the rights of the Klamath River. And so I am heartened by those changes. This is this time of great change. This is obviously a monarch butterfly. But, a butterfly does something that no other animal does, in that when the caterpillar is going to turn into a butterfly, y'all know this story. It's called metamorphosis, right? They go in there in their little pupa or their little chrysalis. Is it called a chrysalis? Yeah, they go in there in that thing. But they liquidate themselves when they go in there. They aren't in the same form. And when they go in there, these cells arise, and those cells are called imago cells. And those imago cells go, and the first ones come, and they're all wiped out by the rest of the cells. And more come, and then they're wiped out. And then more come, and then at a certain point, the imago cells overpower the rest of the cells and turn that caterpillar into this beautiful creature, a butterfly. It's a really unique metamorphosis. Nobody else does the same thing as a butterfly and those imago cells. But remember this, that imago cells has the same root as the root for the word imagination. It is the same root. And that is us. We are the social imago cells of this society. We are envisioning what is beautiful. We are remembering what is beautiful. And we are remembering what a restorative justice looks like in this society. And we are resilient. This is one of my squash. This is a really old squash. I mean, it's last year's squash, but it's really old seeds is the point. And when I first got this squash seeds, someone passed them to me from Menominee Reservation, and they said that the squash had come from the seeds had come from originally from this clay ball they found up by Green Bay, Wisconsin. And when the archaeologists dug up this site, they found this ball, and they shook it, and there was something in it, and they broke it open, and there was seeds. And these are those seeds. And they carbon dated that site as 800 years old, that those seeds were so old. Now, since then, I've been corrected, and I'm told that these are Miami seeds, which would be from around here. Miami seeds. And then I was told they were 1,000 years old. So I was like, okay, glad you corrected me on that one. So my point is that I raised these seeds for a few years, and then people would ask me what they're called. And I was like, I don't know what they're called. They're these seeds from this old squash. And someone said, well, do they have a name? And so one day, about 10 years ago, I decided to name this squash. Because, white guys name stuff all the time. Do you ever notice that? They're like busy naming everything. Naming stars, naming mountains, everything. Got to name everything. Anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm going to name that squash. I named this squash Gete Okosaman, which in Anishinaabe-Moan in my language means really cool old squash. Right? So there you go. That's us. And remember that, because they are resilient. These seeds are resilient. 800 years, man. I got wild rice that didn't come up for 50 years on one lake, and then one day the water levels were right, and what came back? The rice. Seeds are resilient. This is a Mexican proverb. They tried to bury us. They did not know that we are seeds. Life wants to continue. Be life. Be beautiful. Be courageous. This is water protector in New Brunswick, a Mi'kmaq woman facing the police. We won that battle. Sometimes you have to muster up all your courage, just like we did at Standing Rock and just like we do in northern Minnesota, to face them down. Do not give up your courage. Find it in yourself. And this is for us. We fought this corporation for 7 years. I said that a bunch of times, right? We are hoping the system works. Everybody in this room wants the system to work. We're tired of seeing corruption. We're tired of being treated like third-class citizens. I'd like the system to work and not buckle to a Canadian multinational corporation that needs its profit and loss statement to look better. I'm not standing for that one. And so we have been in court. We are in the legal system, but if it does not work out for us, we intend to camp. And in Minnesota, I invite you all to come visit us. There are 300 miles of pipeline that are not built and will not be built. And there will be tens of thousands of us camping. And for those of you who went to Standing Rock, with all due respect, Guy, we have better camping. I mean, people go to camp in Minnesota, right? The proposed pipeline is right next to Itasca State Park, the headwaters of the Mississippi, so you could camp. You could camp and have hot showers and then come and be someone who stands for peace right on the line, all day. So this is, look us up online, and remember that water is life. Miigwech, thank you very much for your time. Okay. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.
Well, that's the way to show a Wilmington welcome. We have about 10 to 12 minutes.
She's got it, 10 to 12.
For questions. We have folks with microphones on the side.
Yeah, and I'm happy to answer some questions, and then I brought a few books and a little bit of rice that's in the back. So I'll sign those if you want to. But who's got some questions for me?
Is it on? Okay.
We had a couple of frost, a light frost. You know, already. Did you guys have a frost yet? Yeah, they 90 degrees here, right? So hot. Yeah, I had a frost, and so I pulled in a bunch of my frost before I left. But I'm traveling. I'm just really honored to be here. I'm doing like 2 quick things, then I'm going home and to farm, and then I'm riding that damn pipeline 7th year. One more time. Yep, me and about 20 kids riding the full route. Jennifer's coming next year. She told me already. Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about any kind of relationship that your organization has with the United Nations and their human rights work, especially the UN Global Compact that's focused on business, trying to get them to align their operations around human rights?
Thank you for your question. So I spent time as a young woman. I was once a young woman at the United Nations. I worked for an NGO, non-governmental organization called the International Indian Treaty Council, and attended a number of UN forums and functions, because in the world of politics, you know, the United States politic is, you know, it's kind of an aberration of what should be. And so we continue to do some of that work, and particularly around the issues of divestment. Those are huge international issues. I mean, if some of you have been looking at, you know, obviously this last week was a climate strike. You know, we took a bunch of kids out of school and rode horse, you know, on that occasion. But there's, you know, a lot of work in terms of international work focused on Enbridge. Particularly, I'm like kind of, I don't want to say singularly focused, but all of my problems in Minnesota that are environmental problems come from Canada right now. You know, and so I'm focused on the divestment of large fossil fuel companies and working internationally to encourage the divestment, because we need to move on. Is there other questions? Yes.
Most exciting news I heard in this last week was the giving the personhood to the river in California. You briefly mentioned it, but I'd like for you to kind of expand how you think maybe how that's going to play out when it starts clashing against the personhood of corporations, when rivers and native places are named personhood as well.
Right. I think it's a really, you know, because legal canons and institutions are a product of society, you know, and the law needs to evolve back to, you know, the law needs to evolve. I can't say back to something, because if you're coming from the doctrine of discovery and the papal bulls, you know, we got a lot of work to do. But I see that the international work and the recognition increasingly of the rights and the dignity of nature, you know, is something which I see it moving much more broadly. Now, in the case of the Klamath River, that is a river that they are taking dams down on. And so a lot of the question of the rights of the river has to do also with the quality of water and the fact that, if you take a river that's flowing from some mountains to the ocean and you put a bunch of dams in it, that changes the temperature of the water. Add a little climate change into that and you kill all your salmon. That's what's going on in those western coast rivers, And in our case, we're standing up for the wild rice. And so we will see how it rolls out in the regulatory arena. A lot of our work is in, I just want to say, removing the social license of corporations, because they should not have the ability to treat our world and our people as third-class citizens. And I think that increasingly, that has occurred over the years, and it is growing, particularly in Minnesota. I saw Amy Klobuchar took $5,000 for Enbridge, and I saw her turn that money back. I said, you go, girl. You quit taking that dirty Canadian money, Anyway, thank you for your question. I don't know if that was the best answer, but what else you guys got? More? Yes. Oh, he's asking me about the Honor the Earth Foundation. So I stood in front of you. I run a large Native organization. I had no idea I was going to run a big organization like this, but it's pretty much what I do with my life, which is I run this organization that's a national Native environmental organization. We work on the fossil fuel transition issues, but then a lot of our work is also in advocacy in the media and with musicians to support indigenous struggles nationally and internationally. And so we have a foundation. We allocate money to support a lot of groups, and we spend a lot of time helping defeat bad guys and supporting good people. That was kind of a summary,
When was the Earth Foundation found?
Wait, is that the voice of God? Where is that?
Okay. I'll re-ask this question again.
Hi, thank
Okay. When was the Earth Foundation found?
When was the Honor the Earth Foundation founded?
Yes.
Honor the Earth was founded in 1993 by myself and the Indigo Girls.
93 was when the foundation was found, or 33?
1993. I'm not that old.
Oh, that was the same year my oldest sibling was born. She's 26. Which that's okay.
Wait, you're 26?
No,
So you're born a year after I founded the organization? Is
My
that what
oldest sibling is 26.
yeah.
I'm 19. About to be 19 and a half soon.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, he's trying to give away the mic. Someone take that mic from that man. Is there another question? I've raised 6 kids. Do you guys want to, they all, so I've raised 6 kids. I got like 10 grandchildren. And yeah, I know. And but they're not all my children. Does that make you feel better? For all of you who are into like Planned Parenthood and stuff? I didn't have all those children, but a lot of kids need parenting. Y'all know that, right? Need someone to tell them to clean up their mess, stuff like that. But yeah, so it's been a long day with that. But you look out there and you're for me, you're thinking about, you guys are my retirement plan. You know what I'm saying? Is you guys, this is your shot. This is your shot. This is your world. We've done our best to keep things from getting worse. I could give you like I understand that there's a lot of, I understand the state of the world pretty well. But I'll tell you what, as I spent my life fighting stupid ideas, and a lot of those things never happened because people like me stood up. A lot of people like me or your parents stood up to stop crazy things from happening. So, at this point, just remember that there's your shot to do all the cool stuff we got to do to be the cooler people than we were. Other questions?
I
Yes.
have a question. I'd like you to speak to us as far as the role of allies go, please. I know you've mentioned that we can show up and be present, but what else can we do?
Oh, That's a great question. Okay, so our Welcome Water Protector website is getting launched. And so we have, for instance, a curriculum in there. For those of you, there's this really great exhibit on Standing Rock, but a curriculum to understand what it is to be a water protector and to understand like the battles that are going on a worldwide scale of people working to protect their water. And then showing, like talking about how we all need to be water protectors pretty much. And so a curriculum that's associated with that to become informed, to become engaged at a local level as well as a national level. You can for sure support us in a number of ways online, and as well, we do welcome people to come visit us. I'm hoping we don't have to, camp, but, we're preparing. We're preparing to defend our territory. And, we've been at this a while. I feel like, I look out there and we have so many non-native allies. Some of you that saw the film First Daughter and the Black Snake, that was about our battle against the sandpiper. But we have a new film out called LN3. And the people in this are common people. It's like people, landowners that want to just keep their water. And so we build a really multiracial alliance. So the answer to your question, there's really no easy answer. You can look at our organization, figure out how some of our information will help you and inform, work you can do here and be informed about the battles over these pipelines because it's international, these battles over these bad pipeline projects, right? I want infrastructure. I want a first world country with infrastructure, but I want infrastructure for people, not for corporations. They took that, we defeat that one pipe called a sandpiper, and I saw those pipes leave my territory. I saw those pipes get hauled out, And you know what I said? I said, we don't want your pipeline, but send those pipes to Flint. We are a country that needs infrastructure. You got water infrastructure and gas infrastructure that is falling apart in this country. And what we need is infrastructure for people. And Ohio needs plenty of that. Your infrastructure is crumbling in this state, and with climate change, it will only worsen. So make a demand in the Green New Deal of infrastructure for people. The other thing is that we need to demand a peacetime deployment of the military. The reality is that you have the largest military in the world, and it's not helping, solve the problems, it's making more problems. That's what it's been doing. Can you imagine if instead of dropping stuff on people, we if we put out the fires in the Amazon with our bombers, that would have been great, Or what if we took you understand what I'm saying is they're my point is that if you just deployed them to clean up the United States and the infrastructure in this country, you could build the energy grid that I'm talking about with the military. At a certain point, you need to deploy the military for peace and not for war. And that is a larger discussion, but that is where we need to go. Thanks for your question, though. Is there another one? Yes. You got to hold your hand up. Yes, I see you. Thank you.
As you continue to fight for the rights of your beliefs, how do you stop from losing hope?
How do I stop from losing hope?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I live in a great, it's interesting that you should say that. I have a lot of privilege in my life. I'm privileged to be standing in front of you here. You get that. You get that. But, I look around, and first of all, in the spectrum of people I know, I just see that you can make a change. You can transform things. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of, just summoning it up to do it. Because it ain't a free ride. It's not going to happen. There's no social change fairy, that's going to fix stuff for us. We are those people. And so I am always inspired by great leaders and in communities and at all levels who transform things and make change. So I've had a life of seeing crazy stuff in my community that didn't ever happen because we just said no. I got a long list of things, and so we hold our heads up. And what I know is that if everybody did that, this world would change. If everybody does that, because, they have a lot of money, but we got the people. We got the people. You just got to mobilize the people. You know, and then I look at that squash, or I look at our rice. And I know that sounds funny, but the thing is that, you know, if you have seeds that couldn't come out for a long time, and then maybe 50 years later they come out, doesn't that give you hope? You know, something is there and it want to come and have life. So, you know, our relatives, our plants, our, you know, all of those animals, all our relatives, they give me hope too. You know, and then I look at my little grandson, and I raise a lot of kids, but I look at a lot of these little dudes, and they come out of a tough situation. My grandson don't come out of too tough a situation, but I see those kids riding those horses, and they are just like, you know, they feel beautiful. And there's nothing that makes me happier than to see a kid, you know, galloping around on a horse who came out of the projects. I mean, how cool, you understand exactly what I'm saying. So I see them happy, and I see, you know, I am full of hope with that. You know, thanks for your question, though. You know, Fridays for Future. Yeah, I was already for Water Protector Wednesdays, so you can pick a day. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you know, that's my thing is Water Protector Wednesdays. And we're, you know, we, in our map, we've identified every Enbridge office. We're like, go be a water protector, stand at the office, you know. So, hey y'all, I see she is collecting me off stage, but y'all, I will be around some, and I did have some books if you want, but listen, thank you so much for having me. Miigwech. Thank you.
You know, I'm from Minnesota.